Welcome to the energy update for the new moon in Taurus happening on Earth Day, April 22nd. And this lunar cycle takes us all the way through May 21st, 2020. I am so excited about this lunar cycle. Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, because it's happening on Earth Day. And second, it's at the discovery degree of Chiron, the wounded healer, which is 3 degrees Taurus, that when he was discovered, the asteroid, the planetary body, was in 1977 at 3 degrees Taurus. And so here we have a lunar cycle in the midst of massive change at a global level. And it's coming to us with the Chiron discovery energy. And that energy then gets filtrated into the sun, the moon, and Uranus, who is traveling with the new moon and sun during this new moon event. So here we have Uranus, the planet of great awakenings, shocking surprises, our crown chakra, right? Opening us up to our higher self embodiment. And Uranus is traveling through Taurus for the next 7 years. And so through Taurus, that's our earth body. So we have this great awakening happening within the cellular structure of our earth body. Now the sun and moon come on Earth Day to say, hey, let's plant some new seeds. Let's start a new cycle. Are you ready? And we all collectively answer, yes. This is the time to really tune into nature, to plant your seeds, to ground, to really come into a whole new level and layer of being. Remember, you're a soul having a human experience. And this is the philosophy, the mindset, even the belief system that we are being guided to return to. This is a time when Gaia, Mother Earth, is recalibrating her fifth dimensional timeline, which says, hey, I'm ascending. I'm returning to the vibration of unconditional love and the unity consciousness of all sentient beings, meaning plants, trees, people, animals, it all, the elements and the elementals. And so the new moon in Taurus is known as the Dryads moon. Who knows what a Dryad is? I do. A Dryad is the spirit that lives in trees. It belongs to the elemental kingdom, and they are the most beautiful, sentient, conscious beings. So if you've ever been around, the forest, and in the Japanese culture, it's called Shirondiko, I believe is how you pronounce it, but it's forest bathing. It's a belief system that says when you walk through the forest, you are cleansed, cleared, and healed. And there's a reason for that. It's because I have a couple of theories on it. But one, when we look through the eyes of the Dryads moon, or the spirit of the trees, it's the Dryads, the beings from the elemental kingdom that are the guardians of the trees that come out. And they say, hello, dear human. Thank you for walking amongst us. Do you need a healing? Do you need a gift? I have a really interesting story that I tell my sound healing course students. And it's one where I was learning to, use my tuning forks, and I was out in the park. And I have a very favorite tree. And I actually wrote an article that was published in Sage Woman about my tree friend named Elaine. And I've known this tree. It's a coastal redwood. It's so beautiful. It's in my hometown. I have known this tree since I was a little girl with chlorine green ponytails, having swum and swam my whole youth, right? So I was the little girl with green ponytails. And so there is this beautiful redwood tree in my hometown. And I spent a lot of time either near this tree, walking by this tree, acknowledging this tree, and I've always had an affinity for this tree. And it wasn't that long ago, probably right at 2011, when we were heading towards 2012, that had a great awakening with the Dryad, the spirit of this tree. I won't go into all the details. You can hit me up later if you want to hear the full story. But basically, I had my tuning forks and I was tuning myself to the tree at the heart chakra. So I had one Om tuning fork on my heart chakra the other ohm tuning fork on Elen, on the body of the tree. And so I was, enjoying this amazing entrainment with this beautiful energy of this redwood tree. And there was a father and two children who were, playing further away from me. And so the little girl, who may have been about 2 or 3, fell, and she let out a cry, like, wow, like she fell down and it hurt. And I was connected to the tree through the tuning forks and the harmonic vibration. I was in training. I was becoming one with through the heart chakra, which is a portal, and into the heart chakra of the tree. And this wave, I'm talking a tidal wave, tsunami level wave of unconditional love and healing, went from the tree through me, because I was connected, and right to the heart of that little girl. Now, it was just this moment, and I almost fell down. It was so powerful. And I asked in my mind, I said, my God, what was that? And I distinctly heard through this beautiful melodic voice is the voice of Elen, my tree friend. She said, oh, that's what we do. We trees, we heal those in need. And it was the most beautiful, profound experience I will take with me in my soul's eternal journey. It was so amazing. And so this is the energy that is available to humanity at this time. If you are open, if your mind is clear, if you can lay down your sword and come into a new level of being that is more in harmony with Christ consciousness, meaning that it's the feeling and the knowing and the embodiment of unconditional love and unity consciousness. And so that's what I'm inviting all of us to start to open the door to. Plant your seeds for this type of new beginning in your life, because energy is really what you vibrate to at the core of your essence. Every cell in your body is vibrating to this 5th dimensional and beyond frequency that says, I am love, right? I am love. So bring that in really to at the cellular level, and let that knowing go through your body. Let it just circle and circulate and embody that consciousness. Okay, so that was really cool. And I wanted to share that little story before we move on. So the Dryads moon is here, and the Dryads are here to help us, to welcome us, to heal what ails you, right? So we want to be spending time at the parks, out in nature, amongst the trees. Get your feet on the earth, get your hands in the soil. Water your flowers, plant your garden. This will help you merge and align with the planetary energy that's available to help you at this time. And when we all do it individually, as a group, collectively, we are a force field of change and a force field of good. Now, it's really interesting. You'll have to go to my blog and read the post in its fullness. But when I was looking, I cast a lunar chart or event chart for every lunar phase of the cycle, especially the new moon, so I can get a sense of what the story is. And so as I'm looking at through the looking glass, I like to say, when I look at the charts, it really, I feel like I'm Harry Potter and I get thrown into this this fountain of experience. So I'm looking at the lunar chart, and I call it through the looking glass. And I hear a voice. Now I have my clair channels. I have a pretty well developed clairaudient channel, and I can hear things, I can hear songs, and they always have a message. So my messages come to me through like a statement, a song, a rhyme, something like that. So I'm looking at the chart, and I hear, and I'm seeing a lot of air element, right? And in the previous week's chart, air as the goddess of discord was taking shape as billowing curtains in the shape of a cornucopia, and it was all about pneuma, spirits coming into each one of us and to be embodied at a higher level. And so I'm seeing the air element with Mars and Venus. They're dancing to the music of the spheres under a harvest moon, because I like to look at those Sabian symbols. And so that's that story going on. So I'm just like really getting into this lullaby of the planets, right? With Mars and Venus dancing under a harvest moon to the tune of the music of the spheres. I'm like, yes, where is my invitation to that? So I'm looking at this, and I hear in my mind in my inner voice that says, something wicked this way comes. And of course, I'm like, huh? What? But it was really interesting. So of course I go right to that Disney movie, right? Escape from Witch Mountain. and then I that opens the door to the Ray Bradbury novel, Something Wicked This Way Comes. And so then I get on Google and I'm like, okay, what's the origin of this statement? Because it's it's a collective statement that we can all tune into. And so of course I'm led to the Wikipedia page for Shakespeare's Macbeth. So now I'm really getting into the rabbit hole. It's so fun. And so through the here, I'll have to read it, I don't want to mess it up, but the statement in the Shakespearean play of Macbeth says, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. And I was like, oh, wow, totally. Macbeth, and, all the things that went wrong in Macbeth. And I was, reading a little bit more, and they were saying that when that play was being, performed, they believed that it was cursed, and it was even too fearful to even say the name Macbeth. And so when I was reading that line again, by the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes, I was like, oh my gosh, what are they doing with this testing? I like to call the CV Cousin Vinny, because I don't participate in the naming of things, because that words have power. And so I'm like, what are they doing? They're pricking people's thumbs and testing them for these antibodies. And I'm like, something wicked this way comes. What's this all about? Right? So you'll definitely check that part out in my blog post. It's pretty awesome. I'm still reeling from it. I'm just like, wow, this is like the best movie ever. I'm always sitting on the cosmic couch with my friends and with a bowl of popcorn looking at the planetary movies out there. So, so we have lots of things happening, but a lot of it is about embodying change, and to let the winds of change come through, and to look at what's really happening. And so when I'm looking at the story of Ray Bradbury's novel, so I'd highly suggest reading Macbeth and reading Ray Bradbury's novel, Something Wicked This Way Comes, because in the synopsis, according to the Cliff Notes, in Ray Bradbury's book, it happens on October 23rd. So already I'm curious. Why October 23rd? That's when the sun moves into Scorpio, and here's this dark tale that comes. So I'm like, ding, I'm going to circle that date on my calendar, 2020, because I want to know what the event chart for that day is, right? So check back October 23rd to find out more. But in the story, it's a story about two best friends, and they're 13 going on 14. So then my ears prick up, my astro ears, and I say, well, 14, that's a rite of passage. That's a time in our lives where we have our first Saturn opposition. It's a big deal. It sets up the subconscious energy for what will happen at our Saturn return when we're 28, 29 years old. And so in the story, these two best friends, males, so young teenage boys, age 14. So I'm like, okay, Saturn opposition's happening here. And they are in their hometown, and this creepy carnival show comes to town with creepy individuals, right? And the story is about the boys combating fear. So I'm like, isn't that interesting? Because here we are at a global level combating fear. And so in the story of Something Wicked This Way Comes, the carnival's leader is the mysterious Mr. Dark. And I'm like, oh my God, we are living this story right now. And he seemingly wields the power to grant the citizens their secret desires. And I'm like, Scorpio, Scorpio. But in reality, Mr. Dark is a malevolent being. Ooh. And like the carnival, lives off the life force of those he enslaves. Be careful what you sign your name to. Right? And so here we have Saturn saying hello in this new moon chart. And then I hear my clairaudient channel saying Something Wicked This Way Comes, which highlights Macbeth, the Ray Bradbury novel. Now I've got dates, I've got Scorpio, I hear Saturn. So look at all my lovely breadcrumbs I get to follow. And so with Saturn, when I looked at his Sabian symbol for where he is on the new moon, it's an unexpected thunderstorm. And when you look, I've been looking at Saturn, especially now that he's leaving Capricorn, moving into Aquarius, he'll go retrograde during this lunar cycle and revisit a Capricorn just a little bit to help you out with that big kaboom of January 12th. Still unraveling with that South Node in Capricorn over the last 18 months. But Saturn, I've been really connecting to the Saturn as not so much in the Capricorn energy. This is what's happening now, but I need to go back into times of antiquity. I have a Cancer stellium, so I have to go back to that space to merge with my inner truth. And so I'm looking at Saturn now as the ancient ruler of Aquarius, right? Because he's going to spend 2.5 years. And it's going to take us through some really interesting times in our collective experience. And when Saturn was the ancient ruler of Aquarius, I keep getting moved back to the Atlantean times. And I've seen and heard other channelings that say, hey, we've systematically recreated Atlantis in the last 150 years through this industrial age. And we're repeating. Remember, history repeats. And Saturn is the Lord of time. And so we have these repeating cycles. We have these lessons that need to be learned. There are individuals reincarnated at this time who were there during the fall of Atlantis. They might be replaying their roles at whatever level that we know them as today, whether they're celebrities, politicians, or everyday people, right? Heads of corporations, we don't know. And now we're up again to this repeat of the fall of Atlantis or the fall of Rome, right? And so we want to learn from the past. What can we do different, right? Because what's the definition of insanity? Repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So let's choose sanity and stop for a moment, pause, go into the silence, right? We have lots of help this lunar cycle in Taurus that is in no rush. That bull does not want to move very fast, and he's really busy smelling the roses. Right? That's what we got to do. So you want to just be aware of clearing the mind so that you can have enough brainwave extension to have a new thought drop in. And a new thought wants to come from the crown chakra, the Aquarius energy, the higher mind that is trying to speak to us. But when our brains are operating in a beta wavelength, meaning it's so tight, the little wavelength so tight that no new energy, new thought, new processing, new critical thinking can come in because it's repeating over and over because we're kept so busy and distracted. But what's Saturn's job? Contracting the energy to help you focus. And Saturn holds the secret to mastery, which is consistency over time. And so what Saturn does is it contracts your focus and gets rid of all the distractions so that you can hold that yoga pose. You can be the tree pose, right? And hold it for however long you want by finding your focus point, right? And you can steady the body and come into a place of balance. So these are these wonderful clues I'm so happy to give to you. So head on over to lunarladies.com and read more about this lunar cycle in the blog post. And definitely have your natal chart out because you got to find 3 degrees Taurus and maybe some other planets in your chart at 3 to 6 degrees. Start looking around your chart and see what's up there. That will give you personal clues as how to use these planetary energies in your life right here, right now. If you need help, this is where I come in. I can come in and do some coaching with you, do a reading. We can do some soul purpose series, all kinds of wonderful offerings that I have. When you go to my website, lunarladies.com, click on offerings, and you can see what's available there. If you get there and you're like, I need some help to decide what is I want to do next, you can send me an email. And you can send a request like, hey, Shannon, what should I do? And I'm like, send me your birthday so I could take a look and I'll guide you as to where you are now and what would be best for you and your personal development. Thank you so much. Check back next week. I'll be back with an energy update for the first quarter moon in the sign of Leo. So this is a fixed lunar cycle. We got to ground, we got to root, and we got to magnetize.